Hello everybody, I'm Randall Hawkins. I wanted to make a video about RE9. And the reason is because I've noticed a lot of the fan base has got it twisted. And I'm pretty fucking tired of it. So as I kind of say in the title, this is literally directed at everyone. Old fans, new fans, everyone. So, that being said, what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We are going to be outside, and there will be a disclaimer for why we're outside at the end of the rant. So, I also want to try something new. I wanted to kind of just do a straight shooter kind of video. We'll see if this gets enough traction. Maybe I'll do some more editing and make it nice and jazzy, but if not, I don't really care. So, that being said, RE9. The game, for the most part, doesn't look inherently bad. Graphics-wise, looks phenomenal. Lore-wise, it does answer some questions, but it also just doubles down on a lot of the issues that I've had with Capcom and with the franchise as a whole over the now 30 years that it's existed. I have seen a decent response to it, and I'm going to say that it's probably all hype, just like Resident Evil 2 Remake was. And the reason why I say that is because over the years now of Resident Evil 2's release, we've noticed a consistent theme that Capcom has had when it comes to their story and lore decisions, like still not having a clarification on whose A and B scenario is canon, and then dropping the ball on the B scenarios in general, and then just some overall gameplay issues that really normally wouldn't be an issue, but if you use something like BioRand, you see there's a lot more flaws than people had originally seen with some of the gameplay. And I know that's a specific scenario, but you know, that being said, it's raised some things that I've wanted to bring up. So the very first thing is probably, who the fuck am I and why should you listen to me? That's a good point. I've been playing Resident Evil since 1998. I was 6 years old. First experience was playing on my cousin's PlayStation the year that it came out. And what's really cool, just a quick side tangent, is that my cousin wouldn't let me save. So every time I would go to his house, I basically had to learn and remember where I was and basically speed run the game back in 1998. And I apparently lucked out by doing the canonical run of Claire A. Leon B. English is hard. So, I've been a veteran of the series, and in all aspects of it, I have really been a massive fan of the series since. So, that being said, I did write a list, and it's because I don't want my ideas and thoughts to get all jumbled. We're already at 3 minutes, and still haven't really gotten into the meat of the topic. So, without further ado, the first one is directed at Josh Statix, or Statix. I don't really know anything about you, how to pronounce your name, anything like that. It's directed towards him and any of the other content creators who have capitalized on Mr. Balkbasoup's rage bait post. And for the most part, it wasn't really rage bait. And I will say, he is fully capable of defending himself. And even though I am a viewer of his streams, he's razzed me quite a few times in the chat, so we're not friends. This is not something he asked me to do, and I'm very, very low on the totem pole. But the reason I want to say this is because a lot of people have been making content based off of his rage bait, not giving him the credit, and being completely ignorant to outside opinions. Josh Statix is the #1 individual that I've seen, because he basically posted a video and didn't reference Balkbasoup at all, other than calling him a dumbass. And it's like, alright, well, if you're a content creator and you're going to use my own content against me, the least you can do is give me the fucking credit and say my name, even if you call me a dumbass after. So go fuck yourself. And anyone else who kind of follows in that vein, like, well, you're a piece of shit, and you better reference at least the individual, and fucking stop twisting people's words when there's clear evidence. You can just go to the Twitter page and see what he said, basically why he said it, and you can see all the other fucking idiots who hyper-fixate on the word abandon. And we're going to talk about abandon. So, to briefly summarize, for those who don't know, Resident Evil 2 OG is still basically mostly canon to the series. A lot of remake people and fans of the new stuff kind of disagree and are like, oh no, that's why the remakes exist. And it's like, no, because there's clear evidence through other games that have entered the series, like 6, for example, a lot of things that people reference, that are stated happened in canonical lore. So obviously OG is still some frame of reference. And that being said, for those who don't believe that Claire abandoned Sherry, here's a little story. My mom kicked my dad out of the house when I was 5 years old, and I got to see him 2 weekends a month until I was about 13. At 13, me and him had a falling out, and I didn't see him again until I was about 19, 20. So he did the bare minimum of paying a little bit of alimony and seeing me twice a month. Is that abandonment? Depending on your answer to that, you probably have the answer to Sherry and Claire. Leon definitely did spend more time with her, even in the original, by actually physically saving her, bringing her to the train, and Claire focused on getting the virus, the antivirus, injecting Sherry, and then immediately went to Code Veronica. Even though that takes place months after Resident Evil 2, it's the next game. And even in the RE3 epilogue files, it's pretty obvious that Claire's main focus was finding her brother and trusted Leon to get Sherry taken care of. And considering Leon went to literal indentured servitude, yeah, I would go ahead and say that Leon probably has the overall on-screen better appearance and character relation with Sherry. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Grace. I hate Grace. I hate her with every fiber of my fucking being. I personally, this is a personal issue, all right? And I'm sorry, because there are people I've worked with and have been customers and people that I've had to deal with that have these problems. So I'm sorry. I cannot stand the stuttering. I can't. That is a me problem, all right? That is not necessarily why I hate Grace, but it is very difficult for me to take her seriously and to even give any credence whatsoever. That's a personal problem. I'm not going to keep reiterating that, but that is just one aspect of an entire character design that I fucking do not like. The fact that she's an FBI analyst or tech or anything like that, if you can see from my hat, I was in the U.S. military, and like all guys who was in the U.S. military, after I got out, I tried to do contracting, CIA, FBI. Not that I was anything special operations or would get that kind of shit. But there were a few roles that I did apply for, and you have to take a strict level of aptitude and mental competency tests. And I can assure you, with Grace having seen her mother murdered in front of her and not ever dealing and processing that trauma, which she clearly fucking hasn't because you can see it in her character, you wouldn't have got that job. So, unless she's used other feminine capabilities in order to get to her position, that's very fucking unrealistic. That being said, I do like a little bit of her character progression throughout the series. I'm sorry, not the series, the game itself. Recognizing that she needs to save a little girl and trying to step up and conquer her fears. So, hope my camera doesn't fly away with the wind here. Yeah, that's kind of like the baseline. That's what you should do. But her whole "woe is me" and people die because I'm incompetent and blah blah blah. Well, yeah, man. You watch your mom get murdered in front of you, and I know that's traumatic. Trust me, I know very much what trauma does to your mind and how you have to spend decades to cope. What I'm saying is a massive character trope in human stories is a massive trauma like that forces you to never be weak again. Think of Chris when he lost in his fight against Wesker after he lost Jill. That made him bulk up to a fucking idiotic proportion size of sorry, I just don't want my camera to zip over. Of bulk, whether it's steroids, natural, whoever, it doesn't matter. Like, he looked fucking roided out, and that was because of massive traumatic loss. So, if a man was able to do that, I would think in today's equal society, a woman would have a similar character arc and growth. That being said, Grace's voice actors did a phenomenal fucking job. Grace's character design, like her actual like looks and everything like that, I thought were pretty spot on. It was nice to see not someone who's a girl boss or LGBTQ friendly face. It's just nice to see a relatively attractive, small, shrewdish kind of girl survive a horror thing. That is kind of RE Resident Evil, you know what I mean? But the thing that I hate the most about it is that I have to play her. I just said that I'm a veteran. I also am a veteran of the series. why are you going to force me to play her section of the campaign? That's not something I need to relate to anymore. I was there when I was 6 years old in 1998 trying to survive Raccoon City. I don't need to be there again. In fact, my life has basically gotten to the point where I virtually am in the same mindset of Chris and Leon. I'm too old for this shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, zombies, cool, kill them. Liquors, cool, kill them. Guys with guns, cool, kill them. And that will bring me to my next point of Hunk. Capcom, you really fucked up with Hunk. And apparently, there's a not insignificant amount of people who are like, hey, Hunk's a bad guy, and he's really nobody. You're fucking retarded, and you need to see yourself out of my series, okay? We're going to get to new fans immediately after, but I think you can already kind of see where I'm going with this. To the people who complain about Hunk, and the fact that he's always been a bad guy and that he's not really done anything, he's been a side character since 1998. And yes, he works for Umbrella, but for the most part, he is what we would glorify as a mercenary. And he chooses to work exclusively with Umbrella because he probably gets a shitload of fucking money, which most mercenaries tend to kind of do. But to say that he doesn't care about, his team and humans, all that shit, well, that's kind of the joke. Because both in Resident Evil 2 Original, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Code Veronica, Operation Raccoon City, if you consider that canon, and the Umbrella Corps, it's shown that he actually does care about his teammates and that he tries for his teammates, but ultimately he just ends up being the survivor. And somehow people have it twisted that Hunk is some actual villain who's like supersedes Spencer when it comes to villainy in the entire series. And you're fucking retarded. Like, you're actually unintelligent, and you need to stop that. At best, he is a mercenary just working for the company. And after he left, he founded an organization to combat bio weapons. And if he's evil, why would he do that? Like, why would he fight the thing that he's helped propagate? Now, one could argue, well, it's for money. Okay, well, it's money, so he may be an immoral individual, but would that be villainous? Like, for real. Like, you need to reevaluate your sense of right, wrong, morals, ethics, all that kind of shit. And, at worst, if you listen to Operation Raccoon City when Hunk's in that game, he says that the UBCS is just mercenaries and they can be bought. And that mentality would be ironic coming from another mercenary, right? Well, yes and no. First off, that game's already been proven is not canon because you can kill Leon, and the directors and the creators basically said, yeah, this is just a hypothetical what if. So you really can't use that. But if you did want to say, well, for the most part, it can be canon if you don't kill Leon, which I actually am probably the few human beings on the planet who take that approach, then it just shows a level of loyalty. And okay, do you pocket cash from your job? Do you make claims or kind of like, take time off when you don't need to? Like, there's multiple like levels that we can get to on this of like, are you a bad person because you do XYZ thing for or against your company? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't really make sense, and you guys need to stop with that. And killing Hunk in a 2-minute, relatively scripted fight, after not fleshing him out as the character that we have wanted and most of the fan base is like iconicized, that was a major fuck up. And Capcom, you need to do better and you need to fix it. Anyone who says, oh, well, Hunk's probably alive because his body's not there, dude took a fucking axe to the neck, okay? As a former medical professional, in this whole region right here, you don't want sharp objects to penetrate or lacerate, all right? You have a major artery that's going to bleed you out. And some people have been like, oh, well, he's got the same infection as Leon and blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, man, all I'm saying is that Capcom did not intend for the amount of hate and the negative clapback, so they plan on killing Hunk. That's basically what they were going to do. When they recognized that, oh shit, there's actually a massive fan base for this character, maybe we shouldn't kill him. Now maybe we'll get a DLC that explains it, or maybe it'll be a clone like Zemo. Whatever, I'm just telling you, from looking at it and seeing it, and even with the whole his body's gone thing, Capcom intended to kill him. Like, basically. New fans. Alright, see your way out of my fucking series, okay? I'm tired of you fucking people. There are 3 groups of Resident Evil fans. There is the OG trilogy, there is at 4 and after, and then there's Resident Evil 7 and onward. If you came in on CVX, you're part of the OG trilogy. If you came in at Resident Evil 6, you're part of the mid-wave of 4, 5, 6, and a handful of other side games in that time period. If you came in from Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake onward, you were the newest, and you have the most basic lack of information on the entire fucking series, because you've experienced it secondhand. And why that's important is because people act differently today than they did 30 fucking years ago. On top of that, we didn't have the benefit of hindsight by having an entire series we could go back to. We only had the games as they existed in the moment. So, with context and the ability to use your fucking brain, because that's how you thought in the time period, that's why it's very obvious that Sherry was abandoned by Claire, for example, tying this all together. And an overall, just like, a difference in perspective in the series. And I actually said this on Josh Static's comment. Jimi Hendrix doesn't hit the same way I was in high school from 2006 to 2010. So we'll say Jimi Hendrix doesn't hit the same way in 2010 in high school that he did in 1967 when my grandparents actually were in high school. Or not grandparents. I don't know. Well, like my parents weren't in high school. My parents were fucking old, but not that old. But like that's my overall point. It blew the scene up because that music didn't fucking exist like that before. Versus, hey, yeah, Jimi Hendrix is really cool, and we're kind of posers for listening to music from the fucking 60s, right? We're hipsters. We're keeping the memories alive, or it's ironic, whatever the fuck it is. It's the same concept. That's why the older generation really scoffs at a lot of times where we come into something. It's like, oh, dude, yeah, this shit's really fucking awesome. I love this. And your parents are rolling their eyes like, yeah, dude, I was like doing that shit in the fucking 80s. Like, I know it's good. That's why I listen to it. That's why it was awesome back then. So new fans think they have an opinion on the series, when in actuality you really fucking don't, because you don't know anything. And I will say, I'm going to have a hard cutoff now. If you've came in before Resident Evil 4, I will lump you into the OG fans, and you have a valid opinion on most things, even if it's wrong, because old fans is next, so we are going to rip into you too. If you came in from Resident Evil 4 onward, dude, like, you think the series is this crazy action, stupid, campy horror thing, and it did have a lot of games in that vein, so I could see why you think that. But Resident Evil 7 and onward fans, dude, like, it's going back to horror. Well, dude, I'm sorry, this franchise has been a lot more action than it's been horror, and a lot of people need to start realizing it. I mean, Resident Evil 2 was actually the pivot point to action. Resident Evil 3 was like survival action. It was survival horror with Resident Evil 2, and then it became survival action to just straight action. I mean, CVX is fucking ludicrous with the level of action and intensity that you get. Resident Evil 0 kind of goes back a little bit. Resident Evil 1 Remake goes back a little bit into following that theme. And then within basically the same year, you have Resident Evil 4 that's just like, yeah, this is basically just to clarify some shit that we like didn't like in the original Resident Evil that we created, but here's the direction that we're actually fucking going. So new fans really do have a lot of vocal ability, but virtually no evidence or real capability to say anything. So you all need to shut the fuck up and stop ruining my fucking franchise, because that's kind of what you did with Resident Evil 9. You made it so that there's two campaigns that I have to play simultaneously, a la Resident Evil fucking 6, essentially. And I don't want to fucking do that, because I don't care about Grace. I don't want to care about Grace. There's nothing in her character development that I have seen, and I've seen 2 streamers beat the entire fucking game. There's nothing that I want to experience with that. I want to see fucking Leon. And if I'm not going to see Leon, I want to see another mainline entry character do some fucking work for the entirety of my Resident Evil game. How do you make that scary? You know what? It's not about scary anymore. Mature and grow as a human being like the series has over 30 years. You're not going to feel the same level of fear seeing a zombie eat someone for the first time as you did when you saw it for the first time in 1996. All right? It's just not going to fucking happen. There needs to be scalability, and there needs to be something that hits in a way that we have matured, because we have grown over 30 years as well. So new fans, you need to fuck off, and I don't care about your opinion at all. Easy day. Old fans, yeah, I have a fucking problem with you guys too, okay? So anyone who thinks that we need to go back to fixed cameras, dude, you need to just go back and play the OG trilogy, and you need to use BioRAM. Like, I'm telling you, like, that's the only way. Is that a rabbit? A squirrel? Oh, squirrel. Dude, like, no. Games are not sustainable like that anymore. If you really think that those games were better, Capcom kind of fucked up on this, but they redeemed it about 15 years later. Resident Evil 1 Remake and Resident Evil 0 were the new gen games that were fixed camera. And they didn't sell that great because, A, Resident Evil has always been a niche franchise for those who don't get it. B, it was on a GameCube. And when you have high profile contenders like the PS2 and the Xbox, bro, like GameCube, like I'm sorry, like that was my Don. Like GameCube was that console that I owned. But like there are some games that just, I'm sorry, you were never gonna beat. And Resident Evil 4, thankfully, was the game for the GameCube, but it eventually got ported to PS2 and everything else under the fucking sun. So it just shows you how good that fucking game was. No one bought Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1. Not to the scale that it should have. And then Capcom, years later, decided, hey, we're finally going to port and re-release these remakes. And again, no one fucking bought them. Because as fun and nostalgia-y as those games are, actually, I take that back. As Resident Evil 1 remake is, Zero's fucking god-awful, and I'm sorry if you enjoy that game. Something happened to you when you were young, and you need to be held and coddled. Yeah, dude, like, no one bought the game. So Capcom needs to make money, right? And if you don't buy the game, they're going to see that you don't have interest. They see you buy Resident Evil 4 on 7 different fucking consoles, like in Skyrim, and holy shit, like, hey, people want fucking action, so that's why Leon's in Resident Evil 9. Kind of makes sense, right? Resident Evil 7 sold very well, so that's why Grace is in Resident Evil 9. Like, it makes just fucking sense, dude. On top of that, old fans, dude, this is kind of like a weird nitpicky thing, but like something I still want to fucking get out there. Old fans and shippers. This shippers is now the thing that I'm kind of tagging on, but old fans are still, I've seen the worst with this, surprisingly. You guys need to, like, grow the fuck up and get a girlfriend, okay? Some of this crazy shit that I've seen from the shipping community, and it's like Sonic. You just run into it if you're a fan of the series. It's fucking baffling to me. Anyone who thinks that Sherry and Leon are married, by the way, I want your hard drive check. Because you're fucking wrong and you've been hanging out with too many LGBTQ people, okay? Claire or Ada, like, feasibly is who it could be. If Capcom drops the ball and decides, like, hey, you know what, it's just some random fucking woman we've never seen, honestly, I don't think that's much of a loss, dude. People, like, have lives. Like, we've only seen Leon in a handful of scenarios in his actual fucking life. We have no idea what's happened outside of that. It doesn't make sense for it to be Claire. Not really, because they had a falling out, and they've never really had an actual, like, time to develop together. Unfortunately, there were 2 books that actually had Leon and Claire together again. Actually, no, just 1 book. Yeah, just 1 book. Only my last. From the S.D. Perry novels. And those have been ruled not canon. And all that background, all that story that S.D. Perry came up with means absolutely fucking nothing. So, like, we have 1 game with Leon and Claire together, and then we have the CGI movies. And I'm gonna tell you now, like, the CGI movies, dude, write them off. No one fucking cares about them. They're stupid as shit. Like, they've gone backward and forward and backward and forward on character development because they use different voice actors for different time periods and, like, try to explain all these things. And it's like, dude, and then the Netflix series where Leon and Claire actually have a falling out, like, why? Like, you're retarded to do that. I'm sorry. You literally are too fucking unintelligent. Whether you make millions of dollars as a Capcom or some shipper on the internet who just decides to do a midnight Reddit post. All right? So you're fucking wrong. And all of the goon stuff, like, you're fucking wrong on that as well. So you need to, like, please get a girlfriend. Like, I know it's hard. I mean, I have one fucking, I had one, I should say. So, like, it's not hard. You can do it. Capcom. All right, man. You guys need to shut the fuck up and listen. Okay? Like, listen. I know it's hard because our fan base is extremely toxic and we're divisive on all aspects of the series. And that's why I'm writing this. I should say. That's why I'm doing this and why I wrote these down and I'm conveying them to you because everyone has a fucking opinion, right? They're like assholes. And I've been called an asshole many times to know that mine are probably invalid. But all that aside, the evidence that I'm building with you, your fan base is very twisted. And you need to make a decision where this franchise is going to go. And you've always had cold feet on it. Back in Resident Evil 1, dude, you had 2 characters, 2 campaigns that played mostly similar. Resident Evil 2, mostly similar with the zapping system, which I give you kudos for introducing finally, successfully, in Resident Evil 9, so you know that it's possible to actually do that shit right. But there's no concrete fucking evidence as to what ending is what. You always just make up your own for the following fucking series. The following entry in the series. Like, you can't keep doing that. Alright? It nullifies the hard work and effort that we put into the game. And because of that, it's why you guys can do whatever the fuck you want, drop these crazy endings, and we're all like enticed as to what's going to happen next, and then never followed up because you decide to go to Resident Evil 7 instead of this badass fucking Son of Wesker shit. That's just one fucking example, right? So, like, what in the fuck, man? You guys need to really put out proper surveys and get as much information from every demographic in the Resident Evil franchise. And I know our fan base is crazy, man, and I'm insulting all of them, so I'm fucking telling you, like, I get it. I do get it. Listen to them and start developing games that are for each party. You know, like, you want the old school style horror? Cool. We're going to introduce more new characters that are in these crazy horror situations. You're an old guy like me and you like the action, or you want the mainstays of these old characters that you've grown up with? Cool. Here's your game. Do your thing. These side things, like Revelations, the rail shooters, the Chronicle series, Operation Raccoon City, Umbrella Corps, like, dude, like, stop. Just stop. No one wants that. No one wants any of that. What we do want, we're going on to DLC now, we want Mercenaries, all right? Mercenaries is super fucking easy. I don't know why you console locked something on a fucking handheld for having half, not even half, you had a quarter of the fucking RE cast on the DS for Mercenaries. Like, dude, I'm telling you right now, if you make a Mercenaries mode that has literally every character in the fucking franchise with the gameplay mechanics that you have with Resident Evil 9 right now, you will make money. You can actually do something really sus and make it a Battle Pass DLC, like, seasonal game thing. I'm trying to think of the word, and I can't fucking, you know, the prolonged experience thing, the thing where you spend money on cosmetics and shit like that. You can do that with Mercenaries, and I guarantee you people will spend money, because I would probably drop most of my life savings on that shit. I'm not even joking. If I could have 17 different costumes of fucking Leon and all the iterations he's been, while he's fucking roundhouse kicking zombies for score, bro, I will buy that. I will buy that day one, and I will fucking be the biggest proponent of it, as long as the gameplay is well, and the characters are there, and there's reason to keep playing over time. And I think this game, Resident Evil 9, could be that and have that, because we're back in Raccoon City, so you can just have like a Mercenaries Raccoon City thing. Hell, we could even tie it to the original Mercenaries concept in general with Operation Mad Jackal and do like a city escape type thing. Like, these are easy ideas I'm giving you for free. Take them. Beyond DLC, yeah, you should probably have something with Hunk. You should maybe have something exploring Chris. I've heard there's something about Alyssa. Cool. You know, I guess I would probably put myself on the back burner and I would watch it and see if it's worth it. I don't mind a unique one-off experience. I really don't. If Grace's campaign was separate, I would be way more likely to play Resident Evil 9. Because, yeah, I can play Leon all day. And one day, maybe I'll just be like, fuck it. You know, I want to get the whole experience. Let me play as Grace. I am never going to do that if the campaigns aren't separate. I'm telling you. So, that being said, I will buy Resident Evil 9 if you drop DLC that's Hunk, Chris, maybe more Leon, maybe even Alyssa, and I don't have to play or beat the main game to play it. So, definitely don't lock it behind beat the game first, because then I'm just not going to buy your game. And I mean, I'm just one person, but, you know, I think my opinion counts for something. Future entries. This is where we're basically going to end it. I've kind of already said, you guys need to listen to your demographic, and you need to make separate games for each demographic in it, and it's not really that hard. So, finally, the disclaimer. Why am I making this video, and why am I outside? Because someone told me that I should go outside and touch grass. So I'm going to grab the phone and touch grass in a second here. But the disclaimer is we all have opinions, right? We are all very invested and love this franchise. Some are so passionate that they are willing to make rage bait. They're willing to make hundreds of hours of content. They're willing to sit outside for half an hour and rant in their phone. Like, this series is fucking awesome, and we love it. But if we don't treat it with a level of respect, then we're going to get Resident Evil 6, and we're going to get worse and worse products, because gatekeeping in this specific situation is a good thing. You should not have an opinion on something that's older than you if you've not been a part of it and you decided to come in 10 years after the game started. It's not for you. Go play Fortnite. Go do something that's a new series for you. Okay? Stay away from my game. But if you are going to get involved, sit down, shut up, enjoy the experience, and your opinion means nothing, because you don't know anything. You really don't. It's like when a 5-year-old tries to tell you how to do math. Like, all right, man, you just learned algebra, but okay, that's how that works. Like, that's what you sound like to me, and that's why I get so fucking angry and heated that I have to make a half-hour fucking video in my phone, because you guys are just bad. The old people are just as bad too, and we need to get corrected, but in a different way, because the games are being made with these new people in mind, and less and less and less and less and less of the old guard. So we need to fucking make our voices heard, and we need to give that argument in a proper way. But again, I am just some random. I'm a rando, but my name is Hawkins. This is my opinions, and if you don't like them, that's okay, because I don't like most of yours. So if you sat through this, cool. And I'm going to end this now by doing what Josh Statics and a couple of other people have told me, by touching grass. Are you ready for it? Ah. Grass is touched. Go fuck yourself.